Welcome back to K-Dramas Decoded, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode of your favorite K-drama. The episode begins inside a building where Belle is seen entering a restricted area. One of the employees notices him and asks, "Team leader, where are you going?" However, before he can react, the emergency alarm suddenly starts ringing. Belle quickly knocks the employee unconscious, pulls out his rifle, and shoots through a wall. On the other side of the wall, we see another man standing there. The person removes his mask, revealing himself to be Jin-man. Jin-man immediately starts firing at Belle. But before we find out what happens next, the episode takes us back and explains how this situation started. Earlier, Jin-man was inside his house, standing in his bathroom and looking at his body. However, we soon realize it wasn't his real body, it was a fake. Outside, Jeong-min was desperately shouting and telling someone not to do something. When he entered the bathroom, he saw that Jin-man had supposedly died. However, the real Jin-man was hiding nearby, watching everything happen. He noticed Jeong-min laughing in a disturbing way, revealing that this fake death had been planned. Later, Detective Jin-woo arrives at the scene and makes a call. He explains that Jin-man died several hours earlier and that his only remaining family member is his niece, Ji-an. He tells the authorities there is no need to involve more police and that the body should be taken to the hospital for the funeral. But we soon discover that Jin-man's death was only a setup. Inside a hidden container, Jin-man meets with Cha Seung and Pasin. They reveal that everything was carefully planned. Jin-man tells them they need to move quickly because they only have 62 hours to complete their mission. Their target is Babylon Agency, the organization where Belle and other dangerous operatives work. They attempt to observe the facility using drones, but Babylon's security system is extremely advanced, making it difficult to infiltrate. Inside the facility is a hidden underwater server containing information about Belle's secret missions. The files include details about the operations Belle carried out, the people he killed, and evidence showing that some innocent people were also targeted. Jin-man explains that if they can get this data, they can use it to control Belle. If Belle refuses to cooperate, they can expose everything to the world and destroy his reputation. However, the server is extremely difficult to access. Their only opportunity will come when maintenance workers arrive to inspect the system. They create a plan to download the data during that short window. They also prepare a special mask that will allow Jin-man to disguise himself as Belle. Meanwhile, Ji-an tries calling her uncle. Jin-woo answers the phone and gives her the devastating news that Jin-man has died. Ji-an arrives at the hospital where she is shown the body. She believes her uncle is truly dead. Later, Jin-woo contacts Jin-man and confirms that Ji-an believed the fake body was really him. Jin-man tells him he did a good job, although he knows Ji-an is completely heartbroken. Jin-man tells Pasin that his funeral will happen in 48 hours. Pasin questions whether they can trust the people helping them, but Jin-man says they can trust Mr. Kim. We then see Mr. Kim with Young-in. Young-in apologizes and says what happened was his fault, but Mr. Kim tells him not to worry because he never blamed him. Young-in explains that someone named Song previously approached him with a proposal, but he rejected it. He then shows Mr. Kim a suitcase full of money and a letter offering him a chance to work with them. They promise that his damaged reputation can be restored. To enter Babylon, the team needs a security guard's ID. They target Kim and send him a suspicious link. At first, Kim refuses to click it, but eventually he does. His phone is hacked, allowing Cha Seung to copy his security information and create a duplicate ID. Now their infiltration plan can begin. A truck approaches Babylon's facility. Inside several containers hidden in the truck are Pasin and Jin-woo. The security guards notice something suspicious on the cameras and question Cha Seung. They ask what is inside the containers. Cha Seung says they only contain rubbish. The guards don't believe him and demand to inspect them. When they open one container, they find hospital supplies with a terrible smell. Eventually, they let the truck pass, allowing them to enter the facility. Meanwhile, Minai arrives in Korea. Jin-man is watching Babylon from a distance when he receives a call informing him that Minai has been injured. Because of this, Jin-man tells Pasin and Jinwoo to return. Pasin reassures him and says he will protect Ji-an. Jin-man then prepares for the next stage of the mission. He puts on Belle's mask and uses technology to copy his voice. At the same time, Cha-seung enters Babylon using Kim's stolen ID. He moves through the ventilation system toward the server room while Jinwoo guides him from outside. Jin-man is stopped by security guards who question his identity. They call to verify who he is, but the team has already hacked the communication system. Everything is confirmed, and Jin-man is allowed inside. However, one employee notices something strange about him. Jin-man enters a weapons room, pretending he needs to return his gun. Once inside, he knocks out the guards and takes several weapons, including a rifle. But suddenly, a security robot scans him and attacks. Another robot appears, and both machines begin fighting Jin-man. While Jin-man battles the robots, Cha-seung reaches the server room. The maintenance team arrives, meaning the server will soon be shut down. Jinwoo discovers Belle's location and informs Jin-man. The employee who noticed Belle earlier reports him to the director, saying that he saw Belle acting suspiciously. Jin-man manages to destroy the robots and defeat the guards. Cha-seung successfully downloads the server data. However, before they can escape, an unconscious security guard activates an emergency button, causing the entire facility to go into lockdown. Now we return to the opening scene. Jin-man finally comes face to face with Belle. He fires at him, but Belle manages to escape. Jin-man follows him as more soldiers arrive and try to eliminate him. Jin-man activates a special device that creates a powerful sound frequency, leaving the soldiers unable to fight. He catches up to Belle, and the two begin an intense battle. They attack each other with knives, with neither side willing to give up. Eventually, Belle escapes. Jin-man wants to finish him off, but he is unable to do so. Security forces surround Jin-man. He reaches the roof and waits for the helicopter that was supposed to rescue him. However, Jeong-an appears with his team and tells Jin-man to surrender. Two drones arrive, leaving Jin-man with no escape. But just when everything seems over, Jinwoo arrives in a helicopter. He destroys the drones, allowing Jin-man to escape. During their escape, Jin-man is shot, but Jinwoo and his team manage to save him. Jeong-an can only watch as they get away. Later, several people arrive at Ji-an's house, claiming they are there to clean up. However, they notice a vehicle approaching. They tell Ji-an to hide, but she refuses because she wants to know who it is. A driver steps out first, and Ji-an wonders if she knows him. Then Jinwoo appears, bringing Jin-man with him. Ji-an immediately runs towards her uncle and starts hitting him, angry that he made her believe he was dead. Jin-man calms her down and apologizes. At the end of the episode, we travel to Osaka, Japan. A mysterious woman named Q is introduced. She receives a phone call asking when she will complete her task. Q says she is already working on something. The caller tells her that the director wants to meet her. She says she doesn't have time. However, when the caller mentions Jin-man, Q becomes serious. She says, "I remember Jin-man." And with that, A Shop for Killers Season 2, Episode 1 comes to an end. Episode 2 opens with Belle and Jeong-an investigating the area around Jin-man's house after spotting suspicious men nearby. At first, they don't find anything unusual, but then they discover a small underground tunnel. They send a robot inside to investigate, only to realize it's filled with dozens of hidden explosives. The bombs suddenly begin beeping, forcing everyone to run for cover. Moments later, a massive explosion tears through the tunnel. Belle narrowly escapes the blast and angrily remarks that Jin-man must be watching them from somewhere. Sure enough, Jin-man is observing everything from a nearby field alongside Jinwoo. He considers taking out Belle with his sniper rifle, but Jinwoo reminds him that Belle's vehicle is bulletproof, making the shot pointless. The story then jumps 1 year into the past. Ji-an is out for a run while reflecting on the last conversation she had with her uncle, Jin-man. He apologizes for everything that happened and tells her she has every right to blame him. However, he insists that everything he did was to protect her because he couldn't bear the thought of losing her. Ji-an finally confronts him about the truth. She says she always suspected he wasn't an ordinary businessman, and now she knows he secretly supplies and sells weapons that end up taking countless lives. Jin-man doesn't deny it. Instead, he admits it's true, but claims everything he's built was ultimately for her future. He tells her she's now part of that world as well. Ji-an refuses. She doesn't want anything to do with his dangerous business and says she wants to leave. She reminds Jin-man of the promise he once made, that he would always support whatever choice she made. Keeping his word, he prepares her for a new life. He gives Ji-an a handgun, a brand new identity under the name Erin, and tells her she'll have to survive on her own from now on. Before she leaves, Brother meets her and hands over a bag filled with supplies for her safety. He tells her not to open it until she reaches her destination. Ji-an jokingly warns him not to secretly install surveillance cameras with Jin-man's help, or she'll kill him. Brother laughs it off and promises he wouldn't do that before saying goodbye. Back in the present, Ji-an continues her peaceful life on a quiet island. A young fisherman named Woo-jin notices her while working on his boat. That evening, Ji-an returns home and starts washing dishes, but she suddenly hallucinates seeing Seongjo. The terrifying visions are simply trauma from her past, yet they continue to haunt her. The next day, Woo-jin works with his father near the beach, while Erin helps the village women with their daily work. One of the women tells her not to rush because everyone is paid by the hour, so working faster won't earn her any extra money. Erin quietly nods but still finishes her work long before everyone else leaves. After she walks away, the villagers gossip about her. They mention she's lived there for over a year but rarely speaks to anyone. Woo-jin joins the conversation, where the villagers tease him about getting married. An elderly woman asks him to deliver some food to Erin since she'd already gone home. Woo-jin nervously rehearses what he'll say before arriving outside Ji-an's house. Just as he's about to knock, Ji-an wakes up screaming from another nightmare. Thinking she's in danger, Woo-jin climbs over the wall to help. Unfortunately, he immediately triggers one of her security traps. Hearing the noise, Ji-an grabs her gun and rushes outside, believing an intruder has broken in. She quickly realizes it's only Woo-jin, who awkwardly explains he simply came to deliver food. Embarrassed, Ji-an hides her weapon, frees him from the trap, and sends him on his way. Afterward, she enters her secret surveillance room, revealing that she's installed hidden cameras around the property. Watching the monitors, she notices Woo-jin lingering outside her house before eventually leaving. Elsewhere, In-seop waits to meet Jin-man. A woman approaches and tells him he has a phone call. It's Jin-man. In-seop complains that he's been waiting for hours, but Jin-man calmly replies that he never intended to meet because Babylon had secretly surrounded the area with agents. To prove it, Jin-man sends him photos of every hidden operative, along with confidential data he previously stole from Babylon's servers. The files expose a secret assassination mission targeting the Prime Minister of Cambodia. Jin-man warns that he'll only negotiate once Babylon is ready to cooperate. Otherwise, he'll publicly leak all of the organization's classified information. After the call ends, In-seop is shocked that Jin-man somehow knew about the hidden agents. Although he tries to act confident, he begins to suspect something is wrong. As he gets into his car, Jin-man is suddenly sitting inside waiting for him. Calmly, Jin-man tells him they're going for a car wash. During the drive, In-seop insists he never knew Babylon's agents would be present at the meeting. Jin-man agrees to negotiate under two conditions. First, the coming war must never happen. Second, his niece Ji-an must never be harmed. If Babylon refuses, he'll expose every confidential file he possesses. Meanwhile, a mysterious woman named Jin arrives at Babylon headquarters and introduces herself as the head of Babylon's East Asia branch. She immediately begins taking control of the situation surrounding Jin-man. Elsewhere, a skilled assassin named Jae boards a ship where his boss gives everyone 5 hours to complete their assignments. After receiving his equipment, Jae starts a 5-hour countdown on his phone before speeding away on his motorcycle. Back at Babylon, Jin tells Jeong-an that she'll personally deal with Jin-man because he's already had more than a year to solve the problem and failed. Since Jin-man now possesses Babylon's secret data, Jeong-an has lost all leverage. Suddenly, Belle storms into the building after fighting his way through several guards. Jin introduces herself, saying she's been sent by headquarters and is now taking charge of capturing Jin-man. Later, Jeong-an calls his family from a parking garage and speaks to his son. Moments later, Jae appears wearing a motorcycle helmet. Realizing exactly what's happening, Jeong-an tells his son to take care of the family before ending the call. He draws his gun while Jae pulls out a knife. A brutal fight follows, but Jeong-an is completely outmatched. Jae kills him without hesitation. A security guard witnesses the murder through the surveillance cameras and reaches for the phone to call the police. Before he can, Jae walks up to the window, removes his helmet just enough to reveal his face, casually waves goodbye and leaves. Back on the ship, Jae's boss notices one of the men is missing. Moments later, Jae calmly returns and reports that the mission has been completed successfully. Jae then contacts Jin, who praises him for a job well done and immediately assigns him another mission. Back on the island, construction continues on the mysterious Murthehelp facility. Jae accidentally breaks her phone after Woo Jin's earlier visit, so she joins the villagers on a trip into the city to have it repaired. While there, Woo Jin tells her that if she ever needs help, she can call him anytime, even giving her his easy-to-remember phone number. Ji-an thanks him, although she still doesn't fully trust him. In the city, Ji-an gets her phone repaired, but she soon notices a strange man from the bus following her. Still struggling with hallucinations, she briefly mistakes someone else for Seongjo before realizing it isn't real. When the suspicious man continues following her, Ji-an ambushes him, demands to know who he is, and nearly attacks him. Terrified, he explains that she'd accidentally left her phone behind in the restaurant and he was simply trying to return it. Realizing her mistake, she lets him go. As heavy rain begins, all boats back to the island are cancelled. Remembering Woo Jin's offer, Ji-an hesitates before finally calling him for help. Woo Jin happily picks her up in his boat and offers her food during the trip home. Ji-an asks why he never questioned the deadly traps surrounding her house. Woo Jin simply replies that everyone has secrets, and whatever happened in her past must have given her a reason for living that way. Just then, the Coast Guard approaches and orders Woo Jin to stop his boat for inspection. While moving cargo at the back of the boat, a package nearly falls open. At the same time, Ji-an notices a message appear on Woo Jin's phone from the mysterious Murthehelp app asking where the package has reached. The episode ends with Jin-man meeting his allies when brother suddenly rushes in with shocking news. Someone has posted a massive bounty on the Murthehelp app, offering $20 million to anyone who can find and capture Ji-an. And with that shocking revelation, Episode 2 comes to an end. Episode 3 begins with a scene from 16 years ago. We see Q inside a hotel in Japan, speaking to Jin on the phone. A mission is about to begin. Jin explains that there are terrorists inside the hotel who have taken hostages. Among the hostages is a VIP and his family. Their mission is to rescue them. Jin asks Q to check how many people are inside. Q enters the hotel pretending to deliver food. However, she has a gun hidden underneath the table. The men inside take the food from her, allowing her to observe how many people are present. After gathering the information, Q leaves and contacts Jin. She tells him that there are more hostages than they expected and that they will have to save everyone. She also reveals that the terrorists are located inside the hostage area as well. Jin asks if she is sure, but Q confirms it. Jin tells her they do not have much time and that they need to begin the operation immediately. Q agrees, but she secretly calls her brother and warns him not to join the operation because it is too dangerous. However, her brother ignores her warning and arrives with his team. At first, they manage to take down 2 terrorists, but when they open the door, they discover that it is a trap. A bomb has been planted, causing an explosion that kills everyone. Jae is badly injured and close to death. Q rushes to save him, but Jin-man arrives and pulls her back into the room. Q cries in his arms, but Jin-man tells her not to worry and promises that he will save him. The story then moves to the present day. Q is outside talking on the phone with someone while looking at the profile of a man named Sigma. Sigma is sitting in front of her. She brings him inside. The two begin flirting, but Q secretly injects something into his neck. Sigma realizes something is wrong and asks what she has done. Q tells him that he must have stolen something from Babylon and that now he has to die. A fight breaks out between them. Q grabs his tie and tries to kill him, but suddenly some girls enter the restroom area after hearing noises. They are about to check what is happening, but Q starts making sounds that make it seem like she and Sigma are being intimate. The girls laugh and leave, saying they should get a room somewhere else. Q then finishes the mission and kills Sigma. She reports that the operation was successful. Her next mission is revealed. She must capture Jin-man. She also looks at a picture of Ji-an. The next scene shows Q with her team. They are reviewing a fake operation that her brother Jae carried out, but it failed because he could not rescue the hostage. Q explains his mistakes and gives him advice about what he should have done differently. Later, she speaks to her team and tells them about their new mission. She will be the team leader, and they must travel to Korea to capture Jin-man. The story then returns to the ending of episode 2. Jae notices that Woo-jin has received a message from Murthehelp. Soon after, guards arrive on the boat and begin checking everything. One of the men questions Woo-jin and says they have received reports about possible smuggling. However, after searching, they cannot find anything. Then they notice Ji-an and ask who she is. They joke and ask if she is Woo-jin's girlfriend, laughing that Woo-jin might finally get married. Woo-jin denies it and says it is not like that. Later, they return to the island. Ji-an does not speak to Woo-jin and goes straight home. She takes her brother's phone and looks through the Murthehelp app. She downloads it but cannot log in. She looks at Jin-man's number, possibly thinking about calling him. However, someone knocks on the door. It is Woo-jin. Ji-an goes outside to speak with him, but keeps a gun with her. Woo-jin tells her that everything has already been proven and asks why she never questioned him. Ji-an says she is not interested in knowing everything and tells him to leave. She goes back inside and starts packing because she wants to escape. However, she sees Sang-ji again. He tells her that running away will not solve anything. Ji-an gets angry and tells him to leave her alone. Later, she remembers what her brother told her, that after arriving at the island, she should open the bag. She follows his instructions and opens it. The next scene shows Ji-an arriving at the boat area, where she installs a device that appears to be a camera. She also sets up surveillance around her house. Meanwhile, Q's team arrives in Korea to meet Jin-man. Jae asks his sister what Jin-man actually did and why they are trying to capture him. Q says that Jin-man may have become a traitor. Jae points out the irony because Q was the one who brought Jin-man into Babylon and recommended him. Now she is the one hunting him. Q reminds him that Jin-man saved his life. The story returns to the past. After Jin-man tells Q that he will save her brother, he goes back outside with Jae. Jin-man brings Jae with him and tries to complete the operation. However, they discover that the people they thought were hostages are actually terrorists. The terrorists grab the real hostages and threaten to kill them unless they are allowed to escape. Q is captured. She pretends to be pregnant and begs them to let her go. However, it is only a distraction. She pulls out a knife hidden under her shirt and kills one of the terrorists. She takes his gun and eliminates another enemy. Jin-man arrives and reveals that he is from the Korean Special Forces. Q tells him she is the leader of Babylon's team and says they did not know he was also carrying out an operation. She says that if he had told them earlier, their mission might not have failed. But Jin-man tells her they should have properly checked how many terrorists were inside before entering. Later, Jin-man meets Q again. Q explains that she could not tell him about her first mission because it was against their rules. Jin-man accepts this. Q asks him if he wants to go for a drink. However, Jin-man says he is leaving for Korea soon. Jae also thanks Jin-man for saving him. Before leaving, Jin-man stops Q and tells her, "Next time, whether it is Japan or Korea, wherever we meet, we'll have that drink." Q smiles and shakes his hand. Back in the present day, Q and her team arrive at a building. Q says this will be their new base. However, they discover someone is already inside taking a shower. They investigate and find Bale. Bale looks at them and says, "So you're the people who traveled across the world to catch Jin-man." Q introduces herself as the team leader. Bale insults her and questions how a woman could handle this kind of mission. He tries to leave, but the bodybuilder stops him. He tells Bale that he is the one-eyed Korean agent. Bale says nothing and leaves. Q and her team later meet with Jin's associates. They are given information about Jin-man and the people connected to him. They explain that Murthehelp is an app created by Jin-man that is used for selling weapons. Jae asks about Bale. Q realizes he is talking about the one-eyed man. She asks if Jae has already met him. When he confirms it, she asks if he is afraid. Jae denies being scared, but says he believes Bale could become an obstacle. Meanwhile, Ji-an continues trying to access Murthehelp. She sends a message to her brother asking about the app and whether it is the same system they know. While checking her cameras, she notices Woo Jin leaving on his boat. Woo Jin travels out into the water when another man approaches him. The man tells him there is a problem. He shows Woo Jin several children and explains that he brought them from China. He asks what they should do with them and suggests throwing them away. Woo Jin refuses. He says they cannot do that and that the children need medical help. He takes them onto his boat. The man tries to stop him, but Jae arrives and attacks him. She treats the children's injuries and helps them. Later, Woo Jin reunites the children with their parents and gives them money for help. Back on the island, Woo Jin explains his work to Ji-an. He says he helps children who are separated from their parents. People from China come to Korea for work, but sometimes their children cannot join them. Woo Jin helps reunite them. Ji-an asks about the gun she found. Woo Jin says he does not know where it came from, but promises he will turn himself in. Ji-an shows him the Murthehelp app and asks how he knows about it. Meanwhile, Jin is trying to cooperate with others. Bale arrives and attacks two gang leaders. Q's team joins the fight. Together, they eliminate everyone. However, Jae starts fighting Bale. Jin tells Q to stop them because they need Bale's help to capture Jin-man. Back on the island, Ji-an helps the older women. They notice something is wrong between her and Woo Jin and encourage her to talk to him. They explain that Woo Jin lost his father when he was young and his mother left. His grandfather later died in a boat accident. The women of the island raised him together, which is why they consider him their son. Later, Woo Jin brings food to Ji-an. He gives her the username and password for the Murthehelp app. The two eat together. Ji-an asks if Woo Jin really plans to turn himself in. He says yes. However, Ji-an tells him she will keep his secret. Woo Jin thanks her repeatedly. He then asks about her past. Ji-an explains that someone may come to kill her, which is why she set up security around her house. She says her parents died when she was young and her uncle raised her. Although he trained her to survive, she was afraid of him and eventually ran away. The next scene shows Yang and his group searching for Ji-an. They say there are more than 30 islands, making it difficult to find her. Yang says they first need to find the person who stole their belongings. Later, he looks at Ji-an's photo and sees the reward offered for capturing her. That night, Ji-an goes running. Woo Jin joins her. Although Ji-an denies saying she was scared, she allows him to stay. The two begin running together every day and slowly become closer. The older women on the island notice their relationship developing. Ji-an and Woo Jin spend time together at the beach. Ji-an tells him that she likes him because everyone on the island loves him. She says she never experienced that kind of love before. Woo Jin tells her that her past is behind her now. He says everyone cares about her, including him. He holds her hand, and Ji-an smiles. Later, Yang appears near their house. Ji-an realizes they may have found her. She tells Woo-jin they need to leave. An attacker tries to stop them, but Ji-an fights back. When they reach the house, Ji-an breaks a pot outside. Inside the pot is a bomb. She presses a button, causing it to explode and killing the attacker. However, Yang and another person survive. They enter the house searching for Ji-an. Ji-an takes Woo-jin into her secret room. He sees her weapons and becomes shocked. Ji-an tells him she will explain everything later. She checks the cameras and notices one of the attackers stepping forward. She realizes there is a trap. The attacker gets caught. Yang discovers Ji-an's location. Ji-an hides with Woo-jin while the attackers fire at them. Suddenly, someone appears from behind and takes down the attackers. It is Mina. She looks at Ji-an and smiles. Episode 3 ends with Mina's unexpected arrival. Episode 4 begins with Jin-man and his team. Brother shows photos of several people and says they all came from China, but there is no information about them in their database. Jin-man says they need to rescue Ji-an before those people find them. However, they then notice on the security cameras that several vehicles have already arrived. They've been found first. A drone is launched to locate them. Jae talks to Belle and reminds him that they need Jin-man alive. Belle coldly replies that Jae should never get in his way or he'll kill him. The story flashes back to an earlier scene at the hotel where Jin is with Jae. She tells him that no matter what happens, he must be the first person to capture Jin-man. Several soldiers enter to capture Jin-man, but Cheol-sung is waiting for them. He quickly kills the soldiers and also destroys the drone. In another flashback, Q questions Jin, asking why she sent her brother with Belle. Jin explains that her brother has the necessary skills, which is why she chose him. She then asks Q if she's dating her brother, but Q stays silent. A container door is opened as Belle's team enters. Cheol-sung is hiding on top of the container, watching everything. Once everyone is inside, he quietly comes down, kills the guards outside, and throws a bomb into the container. Belle notices the bomb and jumps inside with Jae asks why Belle entered when he already knew it was a trap. Inside, the path splits into two directions. Jae suddenly encounters Jin-man and attacks him, but Jin-man easily defeats him without killing him. Belle hears the gunfire and rushes over, immediately opening fire on Jin-man. Jin-man escapes by climbing upward. Jae grabs Belle and reminds him that Jin-man must be captured alive, but Belle ignores him and kills Jae instead, warning once again that anyone who stands in his way will die. Jin watches everything unfold through a live feed and is left shocked. Jin-man climbs into a shipping container that is being transported. Belle follows him inside, but Jin-man locks the container behind them. A brutal fight breaks out inside the container. During the battle, Jin-man somehow attaches a small bomb to Belle's helmet. Belle notices too late. Jin-man activates the remote, causing the bomb to explode. Belle is critically injured. Jin-man picks up a gun and finishes Belle off. Jin-man's allies drive the truck away. Meanwhile, Jin questions her security team about how everything was recorded, but they deny knowing anything. She later tells one of her men that today's events must be covered up. According to the official story, Belle did not kill Jae, Jin-man did. She wants everyone to believe that version of events, and she insists that Q must never learn the truth. Back in her hotel room, Jin repeatedly watches the footage of Jin-man's fight while arranging for the video to be edited, so it appears that Jin-man was responsible for everything. She then receives a phone call confirming that the job has been completed. Elsewhere, the building's security guards are traveling home on a bus, discussing the day's incident. They can't believe Belle would kill one of his own teammates, especially since the victim was Q's brother. They're worried about how Q will react when she finds out. Suddenly, the bus explodes. Jin was behind the attack. On the island, Kim's cleanup team arrives and clears away all evidence. Mew speaks with Jin and says it's fortunate none of their people were on the island because they had all left earlier. Otherwise, many more lives could have been lost. He explains that Ji-an will be leaving the island permanently and tells Jin to stay quiet. Once Ji-an leaves, she'll become a complete stranger to them. Ji-an feels everything has gone too far. Kim hands her his ID card and tells her to contact him if she ever needs anything before leaving. Later, Woo-jin asks Ji-an if her real name is actually Ji-an. She confirms that it is. Afterwards, Woo-jin asks Min-ai if they should really let Ji-an leave, pointing out that she had tried to access the help app. Ji-an wants to accompany them, but Min-ai stops her, warning that if she's caught, the consequences will be disastrous. Back at the house, Ji-an suggests they eat together before she leaves. She happily shows all the food the local women brought her and says everyone has treated her so kindly. She admits she's happier here than she ever felt, even when she lived with her uncle. Min-ai understands how she feels, but reminds her she can't stay because everyone on the island would be in danger. Woo-jin is sitting by the shore when the lights suddenly go out. He notices a boat approaching with numerous soldiers on board and immediately realizes they've come for Ji-an. Q is among them. Woo-jin tries calling Ji-an, but she's busy packing. He quickly rides his motorbike to warn her. At the same time, a drone attacks and kills several cleanup workers. Woo-jin reaches Ji-an and urgently tells her the enemy has arrived and she needs to escape. He asks whether there's another route besides the marina, and they identify an alternative path. Min-ai tells Woo-jin to take Ji-an, while she and the others hold off the attackers. As they leave the house, multiple vehicles arrive and begin firing at them. They retreat inside and use the walls as cover, but two motorcyclists throw bombs into the house, causing a massive explosion. Watching through surveillance cameras, Q spots someone escaping on a motorbike and assumes it's Ji-an. She orders her team to pursue them. Several soldiers enter the house searching for Ji-an, but Min-ai and Kim eliminate them. Woo-jin sees enemy vehicles closing in. Ji-an draws her gun and starts shooting, taking down one of the attackers. Min-ai soon arrives on another motorbike, providing covering fire. Woo-jin leads Ji-an through the forest toward the beach while they're relentlessly pursued. Min-ai defeats several more enemies, as Woo-jin reaches the shoreline where a boat is waiting. Just as they're about to escape, Q intercepts them. She tells Ji-an to surrender or she'll kill her boyfriend. Q mocks Ji-an, asking where she plans to escape. Before they can leave, the boat suddenly explodes. Moments later, Min-ai arrives on her bike and opens fire. The rear wheel of her bike slams into Q, knocking her unconscious. Woo-jin reveals that he has another boat, and the group escapes using it. Q eventually regains consciousness and sees them fleeing. She immediately gives chase on her motorbike, leaps onto their boat, and begins fighting Min-ai. Their fight continues for quite some time. Ji-an eventually fires a flare gun, knocking Q into the water. Even then, Q refuses to give up. Her men are already waiting in the sea with smaller boats, searching for Ji-an's vessel. On the boat, Ji-an notices Woo-jin's hands trembling. She hugs him from behind and apologizes. Woo-jin reassures her, saying he promised to protect her no matter what and that no one would ever lay a hand on her. He looks at Ji-an and she kisses him. Nearby, Q's men locate their boat. Rather than destroying it immediately, they deliberately fire around them to frighten them because they still need Ji-an alive. Ji-an takes Woo-jin below deck, but then realizes he's been shot and is dying. She desperately tries to stop the bleeding but can't. Woo-jin asks one last time if her real name is truly Ji-an. She nods. He tells her that her name is beautiful before dying in her arms. Ji-an breaks down in tears, crying out for her uncle. Just then, a helicopter suddenly appears overhead and destroys the enemy boats. The helicopter's pilot is revealed to be Jin-man. Ji-an looks up and sees Jin-man. Jin-man sees Ji-an. Episode 4 ends with the two finally reuniting. Episode 5 begins immediately after the intense events of the previous episode. Kusanagi meets with Q and reveals the body camera footage recovered from Jay. The recording has been manipulated to make it appear that Jin-man personally killed Jay. Kusanagi uses the footage to fuel Q's anger, knowing she already wants revenge. She orders Q to return to Japan with Jay's body, while Babylon temporarily changes its priorities. Instead of immediately hunting Jin-man down, their leaders decide that recovering Babylon's server is now more important than killing him. Until further orders, everyone is instructed to stand down and return to Japan. Meanwhile, Ji-an regains consciousness in a hospital. As she slowly opens her eyes, she briefly sees Jin-man watching over her before he quietly leaves the room. When she fully wakes up, a hospital worker mistakes her for Lee A-rin, but Ji-an calmly corrects them, introducing herself as Jeong Ji-an. Kim Yi-won soon arrives and explains that the hospital director will be making rounds shortly. He hands Ji and a brand new identity card with the name Lee Yana, explaining that if she wants, she can begin a completely new life under a new identity. Ji-an immediately refuses. She asks where her uncle is because she thought she had seen him in the room earlier. Yi-won tells her that Jin-man stayed with her until just moments ago, but had to leave to deal with urgent matters. Although everyone wants to protect her by giving her a fresh start, Ji-an says changing her name won't change who she is or everything that has happened. She decides she wants to remain Jeong Ji-an. Yi-won then explains the cover story that has been prepared for the authorities. According to the fabricated report, Kai Bu-jin was carrying out maintenance on a boat while Lee A-rin accompanied him. While they were out at sea, the boat struck a reef and became stranded in the middle of the ocean. During the accident, Woo-jin was dragged beneath the water. Later, Ji-an repeats this same story when questioned by the police, successfully hiding the truth about Babylon and Murthehelp. Elsewhere, attorney Jang delivers troubling news to Kusanagi. News reports reveal that Jin-man has leaked some of Babylon's confidential information stored on its server. The leak creates major problems within the organization and increases the urgency of recovering the server before even more secrets are exposed. Back on Hanam-do, Ji-an returns to attend Woo-jin's memorial service. However, she cannot bring herself to enter the building. Overcome with guilt, she stands outside until Jeong-ri approaches her. Ji-an finally breaks down, apologizing over and over for what happened. Jeong-ri comforts her with heartfelt words. She explains that many women in their village lost their husbands to the sea and eventually accepted it as part of life. Blaming herself won't bring Woo-jin back. The people who are still alive are the ones who need to keep living. She encourages Ji-an to gather her strength, continue moving forward, and believe that time will eventually help heal the pain. Before Ji-an leaves, Jeong-ri tells her not to worry about the past anymore, and instead live her life to the fullest for those who can no longer do so. As Ji-an leaves the island by boat, the story shifts to Japan. Q mourns the loss of her brother and vows to personally kill Jin-man. We also learn that one of Babylon's operatives, M, has traveled to Thailand to retrieve an important asset. After Jae's funeral, Q informs L and Marco that she is returning to South Korea to carry out her revenge. Ji-an is then taken to a massive warehouse that now serves as Murthehelp's new headquarters. An employee mentions that overseas orders, including shipments to the Philippines, have increased considerably. Ji-an is surprised to learn that everyone has already moved into the new base. They explain they had been preparing for the move for quite some time, but officially settled there around 10 days earlier. Brother welcomes Ji-an inside, where she reunites with Min-hae, Jinwoo, Cheol-seung, and the rest of the team. Her reunion with Jin-man is awkward, with neither of them quite knowing what to say after everything they've been through. Jin-man eventually shows Ji-an to the room prepared for her. The room has been carefully decorated to resemble her old bedroom in an attempt to make her feel comfortable again. Ji-an immediately notices one familiar problem. The room is still located underground with no windows. Looking around suspiciously, she jokes that they haven't secretly installed surveillance cameras again. Jin-man confidently assures her there aren't any cameras this time. However, moments later it is revealed that there actually is a hidden camera. Realizing his mistake, Jin-man quietly tells brother to remove it before Ji-an notices, creating one of the episode's lighter and more humorous moments. At the same time, Kusanagi joins a meeting with Babylon's highest-ranking executives. The most senior leader, Chen, accuses her of using the Murthehelp situation for her own personal ambitions instead of focusing on Babylon's priorities. He orders her to retrieve the server and eliminate Jin-man first. If she succeeds, she will be rewarded with control over Babylon Korea as well as Murthehelp itself. Back at headquarters, Min-hae successfully discovers the hotel where Kusanagi is staying and reports the information to the team. As everyone discusses the situation, Jin-man realizes that Q and the remaining Babylon assassins must already be operating inside South Korea. Concerned for Ji-an's safety, Jin-man decides she should be moved to a secure safe house. Ji and immediately objects. She refuses to allow anyone else to risk or sacrifice their lives for her sake. Jin-man responds that if she wants to stand beside them instead of hiding behind them, she needs to prove she is capable. Ji-an accepts the challenge without hesitation. Her first mission takes her to a local schoolyard, where she strikes up a conversation with a young boy. When the child's father arrives, he is revealed to be An Seong-bam, one of the legendary Code Reds from Season 1. During the attack on Ji-an in the first season, Seong-bam refused to participate despite Mr. Kim's orders. Ji-an explains that among all the retired Code Reds, Seong-bam is the only person the others would still listen to. She asks him to convince them to help protect Jin-man. Seong-bam insists he has retired and wants nothing more to do with that dangerous life. Ji-an points out that despite him living under a false identity, she was still able to locate him. She explains that Babylon has secretly continued monitoring all of its retired operatives. If Babylon can find him, then his peaceful retirement could disappear at any moment. Although her warning makes him think, Seong-bam refuses to agree and even threatens Ji-an before walking away. After the unsuccessful meeting, Jinwoo arrives to pick Ji-an up. During the drive back, he explains just how much Jin-man truly cares about her, even if he struggles to express his emotions. Over the following days, Ji-an begins intensive training. She learns hand-to-hand combat, firearms, tactical planning, and how to run Murthehelp's business operations. She also studies the complicated technology behind the website and the encrypted server that Babylon desperately wants to recover. Cheol-seung eventually gives Ji-an his treasured Lucky Clover keychain as a symbol of trust and encouragement. She also starts handling contracts with Yi-won's company, proving she is becoming increasingly capable of managing Murthehelp herself. Brother later reveals one of Murthehelp's greatest secrets. Hidden beneath the warehouse is an emergency escape passage that only he and Jin-man know about. If the headquarters is ever overrun, the escape route allows the survivors to flee while destroying the entire shopping mall behind them, preventing enemies from capturing anything important. One day, Ji-an asks Min-hae whether someone like her can ever live an ordinary life again. Min-hae gently tells her that their lives will never truly be normal. Instead, the people around them have become their family, and this unusual life together is now their version of normal. Sometime later, Ji-an gathers everyone together for a private meeting. Although the audience doesn't hear exactly what is discussed, it becomes clear that Ji-an has begun forming her own strategy. Soon afterwards, Attorney Jang informs Kusanagi that Jin-man wishes to negotiate. The meeting is arranged inside an abandoned warehouse. Attorney Jang arrives first before a large truck drives inside. Min-hae and Cheol-seung open the truck to reveal Babylon's highly sought-after server. Ji-an then walks forward and confidently introduces herself as the new CEO of Murthehelp. Although she appears to be speaking only to Attorney Jang, she knows Kusanagi is secretly listening through the microphone hidden in his pocket. Ji-an openly challenges Kusanagi to stop hiding and face her directly. Kusanagi steps out with Q and the rest of her armed team. Ji-an announces that Jin-man has stepped down from Murthehelp and offers Babylon a formal partnership instead of continuing the war. Her only condition is that Jin-man's life must be spared. When Kusanagi asks what will happen if she refuses, Ji-an reveals that explosives have been planted all around the truck containing the server. She also shows a biometric device attached to her wrist. If she dies, the bombs will immediately detonate, destroying the server along with everyone nearby. Kusanagi believes she has the advantage because of the large number of armed soldiers surrounding Ji-an. However, red laser sights suddenly appear across her body and those of her team. Looking up, she realizes rooftops all around the warehouse are filled with snipers. Seong has finally changed his mind. After hearing Ji-an's warning, he gathered the retired Code Reds and convinced them to fight one last time. Jin-man stands among them, aiming directly at Kusanagi. Seong later admits he owed Ji-an for breaking his promise when she needed help in Season 1. With no realistic way to win, Kusanagi reluctantly accepts Ji-an's proposal by taking the truck's keys, signaling that the partnership has been agreed to for now. After the tense confrontation, Murthehelp's entire team gathers together to share a meal. Ji-an proposes creating a new division called Code Blue, dedicated to transportation and deliveries. She also suggests renaming the core members Code Green, symbolizing that they are no longer just co-workers, but a family. The touching proposal leaves everyone emotional as they recognize how much Ji-an has grown into a true leader. However, the peaceful celebration is cut short when Jin-man suddenly receives a desperate phone call. On the other end is Pasin, crying out for help. The episode ends with a shocking twist. The mysterious asset Babylon had retrieved from Thailand is finally revealed to be Pasin himself. He is tied up, beaten, and being brutally tortured by Kusanagi. She reveals that the negotiations with Ji-an were never genuine. They were simply a distraction, while Babylon captured someone precious to Jin-man. With Pasin now in enemy hands and Kusanaga's true intentions exposed, the episode ends on another suspenseful cliffhanger, setting up an even more dangerous battle in the episodes ahead. Episode 6 opens with a shocking betrayal. Just after everyone celebrates their successful negotiations with Babylon, an urgent phone call changes everything. Pasin contacts Jin-man and desperately asks for help after Babylon captures him. The story then flashes back 1 month earlier to reveal how everything began. Pasin is visiting his late wife's grave with his young son. After paying their respects, they return home expecting an ordinary day. However, as soon as they arrive, several vehicles pull up outside. Pasin immediately realizes the people arriving are Babylon operatives. He fights back fiercely, taking on multiple attackers by himself. Although he initially holds his own, the situation changes when Babylon threatens his son's life. Faced with an impossible choice, Pasin has no option but to surrender to protect his child. After learning about Pasin's capture, Jin-man decides to travel to Thailand alone to rescue him. Ji-an and the others insist on accompanying him, but Jin-man refuses. He believes Min-hae is needed in Korea to protect Ji-an while he is away. Despite Min-hae volunteering to help, Jin-man remains firm, leaving the others behind. Arriving in Thailand, Jin-man follows a carefully prepared trail of clues. He retrieves an item from a locker before receiving instructions directing him to an internet cafe. Believing this is where he will meet Pasin or another contact, he heads there immediately. Inside the cafe, however, no one is waiting for him. While he waits, the lights suddenly go out. Jin-man instantly realizes it is an ambush by Babylon's Thailand branch. A brutal fight breaks out. Jin-man defeats numerous attackers despite being badly outnumbered. Just when it appears he has won, more Babylon operatives attack from outside. They use an electric stun weapon to incapacitate him, knocking him unconscious before taking him prisoner. Meanwhile, Pasin unexpectedly arrives at Jin-man's new headquarters in Korea. Brother notices him outside and welcomes him inside without any suspicion. Everyone believes Pasin somehow managed to escape Babylon. The truth is far more disturbing. Before allowing him to leave, Kusanagi had threatened Pasin using his son's safety. To ensure his son's survival, Pasin is forced to become Babylon's double agent. Babylon secretly plants a recording device on him and orders him to spy on Jin-man's organization from the inside. Because Pasin desperately wants to protect his son, he reluctantly agrees. No one questions how Pasin managed to locate Jin-man's secret headquarters. Since the base is brand new, everyone assumes he simply found it somehow. Unknowingly, every conversation inside the headquarters is now being transmitted directly to Babylon. Pasin even lies to the team, claiming he never managed to meet Jin-man during his escape. At the same time, Chul-sung begins suspecting that someone has leaked their plans, although nobody knows who the traitor actually is. Later, Jinwoo takes Pasin around the headquarters, showing him various areas of the base. Pasin quietly observes everything without raising suspicion. While visiting a shopping center, Pasin is approached by a woman who secretly hands him a necklace and tells him to open it in the restroom. Once inside the bathroom, Pasin discovers the necklace contains a hidden camera. He then returns to the headquarters wearing it, unknowingly helping Babylon create a detailed map of the entire base. As brother proudly gives him a full tour, every room, escape route, and important location is secretly recorded. Babylon now knows the layout of Jin-man's headquarters as well as the identities of everyone working there. Elsewhere, Babylon's lawyer begins investigating the deadly bus explosion from earlier events. However, Kusanagi orders him to stop asking questions, insisting Babylon's internal team will handle the investigation. The lawyer still believes Jin-man is responsible, unaware that Kusanagi himself orchestrated much of the chaos. Back in Thailand, Jin-man remains a prisoner of Babylon. His captors reveal that they plan to take him to Kusanagi, destroy him completely, and wipe out Murthehelp along with everyone connected to him. Meanwhile, Pasin tells Ji-an that he wants to investigate the suspected spy on his own. Ji-an refuses to let him go alone and asks Min-hae to accompany him instead. As they leave together, Kusanagi continues manipulating Kai. He deliberately hides the fact that Jin-man has already been captured. Instead, he convinces Kai that capturing Ji-an will lure Jin-man into the open, fueling Kai's desire for revenge. Back in Thailand, Jin-man manages to escape from Babylon's captivity. His captors panic and immediately begin searching for him, but Jin-man disappears before they can stop him. His first concern is not revenge, but Pasin's son, Addy. Believing Pasin remains loyal, Jin-man risks everything to rescue the child. After eliminating several Babylon operatives, Jin-man heads deep into the surrounding wilderness to reach Addy before Babylon can use him as leverage. At the same time, Pasin and Min-hae continue their investigation. During the drive, Pasin secretly communicates with Babylon regarding the operation involving Addy. Without warning, Pasin thanks Min-hae for everything she has done over the years. Seconds later, he deliberately crashes their vehicle. A truck slams into them from behind. Min-hae is horrified when she realizes Pasin himself is responsible. He attacks her and forces her into a nearby river, believing he has eliminated the only person capable of stopping him. Pasin then contacts Babylon to report that Min-hae has been dealt with before returning to Jin-man's headquarters. Completely unaware of what has happened, Ji-an and the others continue working inside the base. Outside, Babylon's forces quietly surround the headquarters and prepare to launch their assault. At the same time, Kusanagi receives news that Jin-man has escaped captivity in Thailand. Furious, he mobilizes every available Babylon operative to hunt Jin-man down immediately. Inside the headquarters, Ji-an and Chul-sung finally uncover the truth. After piecing together the evidence, they realize the traitor among them is Pasin. Unfortunately, by the time they discover his betrayal, it is already too late. Pasin has already secured Jinwoo and moves against Ji-an and the remaining members of the team. Ji-an is briefly drugged, although she quickly uses the antidote she has prepared beforehand. Even so, Pasin proves far too strong for everyone present. Without Min-hae there to oppose him, nobody can overpower him. Pasin unlocks the headquarters, allowing Babylon's forces to storm inside. Brother attempts to help Ji-an escape through the secret routes, but Pasin intercepts them before they can get away. Following Kusanaga's orders, Pasin captures Ji-an. Brother is injured during the struggle, while Ji-an is handcuffed and taken prisoner. The episode ends by revealing Kusanaga's true objective all along. Capturing Ji-an was never the final goal. He knows Jin-man will do anything to save his niece, making Ji-an the perfect bait to lure him into Babylon's trap. At the same time, Kusanagi continues exploiting Kai's hatred for Jin-man, setting the stage for an even more dangerous confrontation in the next episode. Episode 7 of A Shop for Killers Season 2 picks up right in the middle of the chaos, as Jinwoo wakes up to discover that Q and her men have completely surrounded the area. Realizing there's no easy way out, Jinwoo prepares to detonate the explosives he has planted. But before he can do anything, one of Q's men sneaks up behind him and stabs him. Jinwoo is killed before he can trigger the explosives, giving Q's forces even more control over the situation. Meanwhile, inside the mall, Pasin receives a call from Jin-man. Jin-man reveals that he has managed to save Adi. However, he deliberately makes it sound as though he has kidnapped Adi himself. He then gives Pasin an order: save Ji-an. Pasin immediately understands what Jin-man is trying to do. She cuts Ji-an and brother free, apologizes to them, and tells them to run. Unfortunately, they barely get moving before Q and her men arrive. A huge gunfight breaks out. Pasin, Ji-an, and brother fight their way through the mall, trying to reach one of Jin-man's secret emergency exits. Eventually, they make it to the passageway. But Pasin knows that if all three of them continue together, Q's men will catch them. So she makes a sacrifice. Pasin stays behind and closes the door after Ji-an and brother get through. Ji-an desperately tries to open it again, but the door can only be opened from the other side. Pasin is now completely on her own. She faces Q and L and manages to fight them off. Pasin eventually kills L, but she is badly wounded after being shot several times. Even with all those injuries, she refuses to give up. When Q's forces close in, Pasin pulls out a grenade. She allows herself to fall, but before she does, she loosens the grenade and takes several of Q's men down with her. At the same time, Ji-an and brother continue through the underground passage. But Q catches up with them. She shoots brother, causing him to collapse. With no time to think, brother pushes Ji-an into the next section of the passage and presses a button. A heavy door suddenly drops between them. Ji-an is trapped on one side. Brother and Q are left on the other. When Q reaches brother, he is already dead. But instead of simply finishing the situation, Q deliberately fires several bullets into the wall beside him. She wants Ji-an to believe that she is killing brother right in front of her. But there is one problem. The door is bulletproof. Q can't get through it. As Q turns around to find another way forward, Ji-an discovers something that could change everything. She enters another room and notices a series of buttons connected to the building's emergency systems. Ji-an realizes exactly what they are for. She presses them. Suddenly, the entire area begins to burn. Q's men are caught in the flames, and Ji-an watches as the people who were hunting her are engulfed in fire. With the route behind her destroyed, Ji-an follows a passage that eventually leads outside into a forest. There are markers on the trees, guiding her through the woods. Eventually, she reaches a parking area. Ji-an finds an unlocked car and gets inside. But she isn't alone for long. Seong suddenly appears in front of the vehicle. At first, Ji-an doesn't know whether she can trust him. The episode then takes us back to a flashback involving Kusanagi. Kusanagi had previously approached Seong with an offer. She promised to provide free weapons to all of the Code Reds if they agreed to cooperate with Babylon. She even offered Seong a suitcase filled with cash if he could capture either Jin-man or Ji-an. But Seong refused. He makes it clear that he despises Kusanaga's obsession with the Japanese and calls her disgusting. He has absolutely no intention of working for her. And this flashback finally explains what is really happening in the present. Seong hasn't betrayed the Code Greens. He is still on their side. A line of vehicles soon arrives, and Yi-won and Cheol-seung step out. The moment Ji-an sees Cheol-seung, she breaks down and hugs him. For the first time in a long time, she knows she isn't completely alone. Seong then makes his position clear. He and the Code Reds are going to protect the Code Greens. But while Ji-an has found temporary safety, Babylon is still hunting for her. Marco and the others eventually discover Q alive in the underground passage. She survived the explosion. Q takes one of their grenades and uses it to destroy the door leading toward the parking area. She then searches the vehicles and finds a dashcam. The footage shows Yi-won's vans arriving and taking Ji-an away. Q immediately sends the information to K. Later, K and Kusanagi inspect the destroyed remains of Murthehelp. Back at the hideout, Ji-an falls asleep in Yi-won's car. When she wakes up, she discovers that she is now underground, near an abandoned railway track. Seong-baem's son is there as well. Then Ji-an receives a call from Jin-man. The conversation gives her another reminder that Jin-man is still fighting to protect her, even while everything around them is collapsing. Seong-baem then takes Ji-an deeper into the hideout. And this is where she gets an enormous surprise. Min-hai is alive. Seong-baem explains that Min-hai managed to crawl out of the water by herself. Pasin's bullet didn't hit any vital organs, so although she is unconscious, she is expected to survive. For Ji-an, seeing Min-hai alive is another huge relief. Seong-baem then explains exactly what the underground facility is. It is essentially a headquarters for the Code Reds. He shows Ji-an a room packed with weapons and ammunition. This used to be a shared supply room where Code Reds could come whenever they needed equipment. Seong-baem explains that he once managed this room himself. More importantly, the room is heavily protected by an incredibly strong door made from a special alloy. But while the Code Greens and Code Reds are regrouping, Babylon is still attacking Murthehelp systems. The hackers continue trying to extract information from the servers. Cheol-seung reveals that Murthehelp's server has another hidden function. It can actually act as an electronic bomb. If an unauthorized person tries to access it, the system can shut down the electricity throughout the entire building. And Cheol-seung has been waiting for exactly this opportunity. Their mole inside Babylon has already established a satellite connection. So when the building's power goes down, Cheol-seung can use that window to access Babylon systems and steal their data. Kusanagi contacts Chen and gives him an update. Chen responds by giving her managerial control over Murthehelp. But just as Kusanagi asks about Jin-man, the power suddenly cuts out. This is the moment Cheol-seung has been waiting for. The mole switches the connections on Babylon's supercomputer, allowing Cheol-seung to transfer Babylon's information directly onto his own server. Then the electricity comes back. Kusanaga's people immediately check Murthehelp's server. But there is nothing there. The data has vanished. Someone has successfully stolen it. At Babylon, attorney Jang warns Kusanagi that the situation is getting too serious to hide. He tells her they need to be more transparent with Babylon's headquarters about both the server incident and the bus bombing. But later that evening, attorney Jang discovers that Kay has secretly entered the back of his car. Kay makes his position very clear. He threatens Jang and warns him not to interfere in matters that don't concern him. After Kay leaves, Jang discovers something inside his vehicle. A flash drive. And on it is the symbol belonging to Babylon's mole. This suggests that someone inside Babylon is actively working against the organization and may finally be ready to expose what is happening from within. Meanwhile, Q has not stopped hunting Ji-an. She and her colleagues stake out a shopping mall, waiting for Yi-won's van to appear. Eventually, the van arrives. Q follows Yi-won inside. And when she finds him talking to Jin-man, everything erupts into another fight. 2 hours later, Kay informs Kusanagi about what Q has done. Kusanagi immediately prepares to leave with him. But before they can get very far, Q's vehicle suddenly blocks their path. The door is open. M steps out. And then they reveal exactly what they've been hiding. Jin-man is tied up in the trunk. M drags him out and throws him onto the ground in front of Kusanagi and Kay. For the first time in the episode, Jin-man is no longer the person controlling the game from the shadows. He has been captured. And with Q standing on one side and Kusanagi and Kay on the other, the balance of power has completely shifted once again. Episode 7 therefore ends on a major cliffhanger. Ji-an has finally found protection among the Code Reds, Min-hai is alive, and Cheol-seung has managed to steal Babylon's data. There is even evidence that Babylon has a mole working against them. But the biggest development is Jin-man's capture. After spending the entire episode fighting to keep Ji-an safe, Jin-man has now fallen directly into Q's hands. And with Babylon closing in on the code greens and the code reds, the final confrontation is clearly getting closer. Episode 8 picks up with Kusanagi, Jin becoming increasingly desperate. Her entire plan to bring down Jin-man and Murthehelp is beginning to fall apart, and the more she tries to regain control, the more isolated she becomes. Kusanagi has spent the entire season trying to prove herself to the people above her in Babylon. She wants to climb the organization and show that she is capable of handling Jin-man and destroying Murthehelp. But instead of gaining respect, her desperation has caused her to make one bad decision after another. And now, those decisions are finally catching up with her. Kusanagi has reached the point where she is willing to sacrifice almost anyone if it means getting what she wants. Her biggest mistake was believing that she could manipulate everyone around her forever. She had already used Q's hatred toward Jin-man to her advantage. After Jae's death, Kusanagi deliberately made Q believe that Jin-man was responsible. But the truth was completely different. Kusanagi had actually arranged for Bale to kill Jae. She then took advantage of Q's grief, anger, and desire for revenge, turning Q into another weapon that she could point at Jin-man and Murthehelp. For a while, the deception works. Q believes Jin-man is responsible, and this gives Kusanagi exactly what she needs: another powerful person willing to go after her enemy. But Kusanagi's biggest problem is that she has underestimated Ji-an. Ji-an has been collecting information throughout the conflict, and she possesses a recording connected to Jae's death. That recording can expose Kusanagi's entire lie. Eventually, the truth begins to come out. Ji-an reveals what actually happened to Jae, exposing Kusanagi's involvement and proving that Jin-man wasn't responsible for Jae's death. And she doesn't keep the evidence to herself. The information reaches Q and the people within Babylon, meaning Kusanagi can no longer control the story. Suddenly, the people she manipulated begin to realize what she has actually been doing. Kusanagi had spent so much time using everyone around her that, once the truth was exposed, she had almost nobody left willing to stand beside her. The very people she thought she controlled begin abandoning her. And this is where Kusanagi's position becomes truly desperate. She isn't just losing her plan anymore. She's losing protection. She's losing allies. And most importantly, she's losing control. Meanwhile, Ji-an and Jin-man are still moving forward. Rather than allowing Kusanagi to dictate what happens next, they take advantage of the chaos surrounding her and make their way into her hideout. But they soon discover that they're not simply walking into a confrontation with Kusanagi. Waiting for them is someone much more important. They come face to face with Chen, the head of Babylon. Chen represents the larger organization that Jin-man and Murthehelp have been fighting against. And instead of immediately turning the meeting into another bloodbath, Jin-man takes a different approach. He negotiates. The situation has become too destructive for either side to continue fighting without suffering even greater losses. Murthehelp has already been through enough. Babylon has also suffered losses. And neither side can completely eliminate the other without risking serious consequences. So eventually, a ceasefire is reached. The agreement essentially means that Babylon will stop coming after Murthehelp, while Jin-man's side agrees not to attack Babylon. But this isn't exactly a friendship. It's more of a mutual understanding that continuing the war isn't worth the cost. There is also another important factor protecting Murthehelp. They still possess Babylon's stolen data. That information gives them leverage. If Babylon breaks the agreement and attacks them, Murthehelp has something that could potentially be used against Babylon. So both sides now have a reason to keep the peace. For the first time in a long time, it seems like Jin-man and Ji-an might actually have a chance to live without constantly looking over their shoulders. But Kusanagi isn't willing to accept that. After everything she's done, she still tries to interfere. And this brings the story back to Jin. Jin is pushed into an increasingly desperate position as the truth about Kusanagi's actions comes to light. She has lost the advantage she once had. The manipulation, lies, and schemes that Kusanagi relied on are no longer enough to protect her. Ji-an eventually confronts Jin. And when Jin refuses to allow Jin-man to continue negotiating with Chen, Ji-an makes a decision. She doesn't hesitate. Ji-an kills Jin. It's a surprisingly quick end for someone who has been built up as one of the season's main threats. Jin's defeat is not some huge final battle. There isn't an elaborate final scheme that completely turns the tables. Instead, Ji-an simply decides that Jin has become too dangerous to leave alive and eliminates her. And with that, Kusanaga's entire plan finally collapses. The woman who spent so much of the season trying to manipulate everyone else ends up completely alone. She had wanted to rise through Babylon. She wanted to destroy Jin-man. She wanted to bring Murthehelp down. She wanted to prove herself to the people above her. But ultimately, her own lies destroy her. The people she manipulated stopped trusting her. The people she tried to control abandon her. And the enemy she was determined to destroy survives. The conflict isn't over exactly, but Kusanagi is no longer the one controlling it. After the confrontation, Jin-man and Ji-an take steps to put an end to the immediate conflict. They blow up their respective hideouts. It's almost symbolic. The old structures that represented the endless cycle of violence are destroyed, giving everyone at least a temporary opportunity to start again. The explosions don't magically solve everything. Babylon still exists. Murthehelp still exists. And the stolen Babylon data is still an important bargaining chip. But for the first time, there is a possibility of peace. The ceasefire between Babylon and Murthehelp depends heavily on that stolen data. If the information is leaked, the situation could change completely. But Ji-an is confident that they can keep their side of the agreement. And that's important because Ji-an has changed enormously since the beginning of the story. At the start, she was still learning how this world worked. She was being pulled into Jin-man's dangerous life and forced to learn how to survive. Now, she is making the decisions herself. And Jin-man recognizes that. Despite everything they've been through, their relationship has remained strong. Their relationship hasn't exactly been simple. Ji-an was dragged into a world she never asked to be part of, and Jin-man's decisions exposed her to danger again and again. But through all of it, the two have continued to fight together. And by the end of Season 2, both of them are still alive. That's especially significant considering how many people they've lost along the way. Minhai also survives, giving the remaining members of Murthehelp at least some hope that they can rebuild. But not everyone makes it to the end. The season leaves behind a trail of casualties, including people who had become important parts of the story. And that's what makes the ending bittersweet. Murthehelp survives. Ji-an survives. Jin-man survives. But the organization they started with has been changed forever. Then there's Q. Her ending is perhaps the most unexpected. After discovering the truth about Jay's death and realizing how Kusanagi manipulated her, Q finally has the opportunity to stop being someone else's weapon. For so long, her actions have been driven by the story that Kusanagi gave her. She believed Jin-man was responsible for Jay's death. She believed revenge was what she needed. But once she discovers the truth, she has to decide what she actually wants. And instead of continuing the cycle of revenge, Q walks away. She chooses not to let someone else's narrative control her anymore. It's actually a meaningful choice for her character. But the problem is that the series doesn't spend enough time exploring it. After everything Q has done throughout the season, her decision to simply leave feels incredibly abrupt. There's no huge emotional farewell. There's no long explanation of what she's going to do next. She simply chooses to walk away from the conflict. And that leaves her future uncertain. With Jin dead, Kusanagi defeated, and Q gone, the immediate threat surrounding Murthehelp has finally disappeared. But the world itself hasn't suddenly become peaceful. Babylon is still out there. Murthehelp still has the stolen data. And both sides know that their agreement could fall apart if one side decides to break the rules. So the finale doesn't completely close the door on the conflict. Instead, it creates a fragile balance. Both sides have something the other wants. Both sides know that attacking first could come at a huge cost. For now, that's enough to keep the peace. And then, we reach the final moments of the episode. After everything they've endured, Jin-man asks Ji-an what they should do next. And this seemingly simple question actually represents the biggest change in the entire season. Because Jin-man isn't telling her what to do. He's asking her. Ji-an is no longer simply the person Jin-man needs to protect. She's no longer someone being dragged along behind him. She's become someone capable of making the difficult decisions herself. In other words, Ji-an has become the head of Murthehelp. Jin-man trusts her judgment. He believes she has what it takes to take responsibility for the organization and decide where they go from here. And that brings Season 2 to an end. The war with Babylon hasn't necessarily disappeared forever. The stolen data remains a potential source of conflict. Q's future is unknown. And the surviving members of Murthehelp still have to figure out how to rebuild their lives after everything they've lost. But for now, Ji-an and Jin-man are alive. They're together. And they finally have a chance to build something resembling a peaceful life. The girl who once had no idea what Murthehelp even was has now become its leader. And Jin-man, the man who spent so long making the decisions for everyone else, is finally willing to step back and let Ji-an decide what happens next. And that's where A Shop for Killers Season 2 ends.